Hello, welcome to another weekly update. I hope you're doing well. It's been a busy week. It still feels like we're trying to pick up the pieces after Ignite, which is funny. I finally managed to sit down with Tom Arbuthnot and talk about the output from Ignite. It's kind of funny it took us this long. We've been talking lots of stuff going on at work as well. And we were saying normally, so we end up going to quite a lot of the same conferences sometimes as well, and that's a really good time for us just to catch up on everything that's going on in our respective worlds, that travelling time and time to go and get some food and stuff like that. So we've missed that a little bit this year, so it's been it's been hard sometimes to find the time to catch up. And so we did a catch up for Modality Systems did a catch up for their channel, so you can go and look at that if you want to. Just interesting because I went into that chat I'd done my preparation and notes, and I had all these things I wanted to talk about from Ignite from the developer platform side. And going into it, I really thought that Ignite this year was really big for developers, and it turns out Tom had an equally large list of things from the IT Pro side that made Ignite a really big event for IT pros. So I think Ignite all around was a really big event. Lots and lots of announcements. So yeah, we did like a top 5. So if that sounds interesting, then go for that. Funny, I've had some other funny problems as well today, mostly around YouTube live streaming. I'm going to do a blog post on this because it's the most annoying thing where you come across a problem and Google can't help you, right? And I spent quite a lot of time searching for the problem because I thought surely it must be on Google somewhere, because I can't be the only person having this problem. But it's so vague, the problem I was having, and really there's not an awful lot anyone can do about it. It was a weird 500 error that some part of the page calling a YouTube API was hitting, and that's what I was getting. I actually managed to figure it out and work around it and fix it by making random API calls. So I'm going to do that all in a blog post in case it helps someone else who is also searching for it. But I haven't quite finished writing it up yet, so I can't put it in this list of things for this week. So that's coming. What else? Oh, so I've got a new kind of PC setup thing going on. So back in March, when we stopped being people that worked from offices and travelled around and started becoming people that just kind of worked from home, did that for a bit, and then after a couple of months figured out needed somewhere a bit more permanent in the house to work, and that's where this room came from. And you kind of would have seen the evolution of that if you've been watching the weekly updates, you'd have seen that happen, and that was great. And what I found though is that as lockdown has gone on and as working from home has gone on, I'm doing more and more stuff in front of the video camera. So more and more streaming, more and more live events, more and more video presentations, more and more virtual conferences. So I've just decided to kind of tweak a little bit the setup, up the game a little bit, up the resolution, up the camera. And so I've been kind of doing that slowly and iteratively. And the bottleneck was becoming this laptop that I travelled around with, and that was fine most of the time, but actually is not great for doing video encoding and streaming, because when I spec'd it as a laptop, I spec'd it as this is a light, portable, fairly fast, I can do development on it laptop. I didn't spec it as this is my video encoding laptop. So it's got integrated graphics and all that kind of stuff, right? It doesn't make it great. Once I'd layered on OBS, NDI, all these other things, suddenly it was really struggling. Anyway, turns out I was able to use an existing PC from work, which is great. So there's no kind of money sunk anywhere, which is great. It's got a nice graphics card. It's a bit more of a permanent desktop thing. It's got plenty of RAM. And so that's kind of immediately removed that bottleneck, which is really nice. And so I'm able to do this streaming, this recording now, fairly decent resolution. I think probably the limiting factor now is maybe my internet. I don't know. I'm kind of not sure I want to care anymore, to be honest. It's good enough. For a talking head, 1080p is fine. 4K maybe, but I'm not sure I can be bothered, to be honest. And also the file sizes for 4K are so large, it's pointless. I'm churning out quite a lot of content, so that builds up really quick. Anyway, how did I even get on to talking about that? I don't know. Oh yeah, so the YouTube thing, the streaming bug. Anyway, so I'm going to do a blog post about fixing that, which is nice. Other things that happened. So this came out of Ignite, and it's kind of an interesting one. So Microsoft Dynamics 365 is the CRM platform. So Microsoft Dynamics Customer Service is like a part of that whole Dynamics CRM platform. I think it's like a specific offering for customer service people and that service, where you have like people contact you need to kind of look up their current orders and their state and who their account manager is, previous interactions and all that sort of stuff, right? They currently have a thing called Omnichannel, which is it's like a omnichannel, right? Like a single way in for lots of different things like web chat, social media like Facebook Messenger, and all those things. Like they all funnel through the same kind of thing for agents to use, so it's a unified experience for agents and they're not having to use all these different platforms just to talk to users. Big announcement for them from Microsoft Ignite is that they're going to bring voice to Omnichannel, and the way they're going to do that is using Azure Communication Services, which is the thing I spoke about in length last time, which I'm quite excited about. But what's interesting is that they're going to use Azure Communication Services and they're not going to use Microsoft Teams for that. So it's kind of an interesting head scratcher a little bit for me, because for quite a long time I've been looking at Dynamics and looking at Teams and thinking that surely these worlds are going to come together at some point. And maybe they will, but maybe not right now, because Dynamics is building its voice offering on top of Azure Communication Services, which comes out of Azure, not out of Office. It sort of makes sense if you look at the like some of the messaging that the Azure Communication Services folks are putting out, is that Teams is built on Azure Communication Services. Under the hood, it's all the same stack, and then Teams is like an implementation of it. Dynamics 365 Customer Services is an implementation of it, and hey, your application can be an implementation of it as well. That makes sense. That's good. I think there's some interesting overlap with the contact center solutions that Microsoft Teams offers and what Dynamics is now offering as voice as part of their omnichannel, as part of their customer service offering. So if you run a contact center, if you run a customer service center, you've got some hard choices to make, because if you're already using Microsoft Teams for your voice, then you either stay with Microsoft Teams for your voice and you invest in the contact center solutions for incoming voice, but then you miss out really on good integration with Dynamics, or you go down the Azure Communication Services route. That becomes the way by which your agents talk to customers. You've got rich integration with Dynamics, but you've kind of got a separate voice platform there, separate to Microsoft Teams. And you don't have some of the things that Teams gives you, like quality of service. Like there's no call quality dashboard. Like, I don't know how you look at that in Azure Communication Services. Maybe something will come out, but right now I don't think there is anything. You've got to think about things like shared presence. So Teams presence will not be updated if you're in an Azure Communication Services call unless you build that in or do something about it, right? So it's kind of really interesting to see how that's going to play out. I mean, it might be as well, like this is not coming until like the first half of next year as well, this omni-channel voice thing. So there's a while to work all these kinks out, and it might be that actually what happens is something much more integrated still. Like I say, under the hood, it's all the ACS technology, and actually they're both trying to achieve the same thing, is giving customer service agents the tools they need so they can just talk to customers and with all the right information in the right place. So hopefully they work that stuff out, because otherwise it's kind of a slight, like, otherwise I think if you're a service owner, you've got some hard choices to make. So yeah, that's interesting. Other things that happened, this is interesting. So I did like a video interview with Tom Scott. So Tom Scott works in Modality Systems, which is where I work, and I try to make a habit not of interviewing staffers for like this channel, because it's like a weird crossover. And like I try and keep the thought stuff separate from the modality stuff, but sometimes they meet and sometimes they cross over and sometimes it sort of makes sense. And this was one of those, because we've been doing a lot of stuff in modality with virtual healthcare, and obviously the whole COVID-19 thing has sort of thrown things up in the air quite a lot, as you might imagine. but it's really just been an interesting experience, and I wanted to talk that through with Tom because as technologists, as developers on the Teams platform, I think, as a group, we care quite a lot about things like making kind of virtual consultations, like the technology we know exists, right? So we know we can do those things, but how do we actually get real people, normal people doing them? And some of those challenges are really quite hard. And those are the things that Tom spends his time figuring out and doing. So I thought it would be a really good opportunity to kind of talk to him through him about what things were like before COVID, what they were like during COVID, what they're like now, and what he thinks they're going to look like in 6 months' time. So that's what we did. It was a good fun chat. It was also the first time I did a recording using the NDI stream stuff that's now kind of in Microsoft Teams. And I want to call out another blog post for this one as well to kind of go into the next link, which is a blog post that Petri did. Now I kind of knew about NDI, I knew about NDI coming to Teams and being there. I kind of knew what it was, I'd played with it for a bit, but then it came out and I'd kind of forgotten how to set it up, so I wanted just to validate that I was doing everything right, because quite often with a lot of this video streaming stuff you can make it work, but it might not be optimal, so it's worth just kind of checking through somebody else's workings to make sure you've done all the right things in the right order, you're not doing anything crazy or anything like that. So let me share this one out because it's a good one. So this is a blog post that Steve Goodman did for Petri, how to broadcast Teams meetings like a pro with NDI and OBS. And this is exactly what I did for the video interview that I did with Tom Scott. And it's really nice. It's way better than like trying to capture the capture the screen, like full screen Teams video capturing screen, which is what I did before. And that's got its challenges doing that. But this is so much better. Allowed me to lay it out really nicely. No pop-ups getting in the way. And it's really easy to do as well. Like, it's really easy to set up in Teams. You need to be an admin. You need to go and turn on NDI streaming over here in the meetings section in the admin center. Do that. Go to bed, wake up, because it seems to take a while. And then in Teams, as a user, when you go to permissions, you can turn on this use NDI thing. And then anytime you're in a meeting that has like you and one more person in it, then you will see the streams show up as NDI streams. So in order for it to work, you need to, I use OBS, that's what I'm using right now. So that's good because that's what Steve was using as well, so this made things easier. There's a NDI for OBS kind of adapter plugin thing that you need to get, put that in, and that's pretty much it. It shows up as an OBI source. Each person gets their own feed, which is really interesting. So if you're on a big old meeting, you can literally have a different input feed for every person in that meeting if you want. And you can also have one that's just called the active speaker. So that will obviously change based on the active speaker. So you can do cool stuff with that as well. There's some nice layouts that Steve's got going on here with this one. I quite like how they've got like this big background picture. I might try doing that for mine because I quite like that. So this is a great blog post for walking you through exactly what to do. It's really well laid out. So if that sounds interesting and you want to try NDI, I think it'd be really good for streaming any kind of conferencing, like conferences you do like remotely. If you want to do presentations like that, it's a great way of doing that. I think it's really good for video interviews. It's much more professional, I think. It allows you to change. So the reason I like doing it is I think it's more engaging than just the stream recording. So two things. First of all, it's better quality than the stream recording. But secondly, it allows me to flip between different views. So for instance, I could real time, if I'm interviewing somebody, I can flip between, like say, like this view, which is just me, one person talking. I could flip to a guest view, so side by side, split screen, or I could go full screen on the guest. And just changing things up a bit throughout the course of a 10-minute interview kind of seems to help with engagement, keeps people kind of, just thinking about things and engaged. So yeah, I really like NDI. I really like the NDI OBS setup that's in Teams. I think it's a great kind of step forward. I love that they've made it available to everyone, and it's not like some broadcast only feature that you had to be like the BBC or Sky or whoever to access. I love that anybody can access it, like me, so I can use it for doing video interviews and stuff if I want to. I think that's great. Yeah, so I'm a big fan. Okay, last thing we should talk about, because it's already 15 minutes in, a blog post on the Microsoft Graph developer blog. So if you like using OData filters, there are some more of them for some endpoints. So let's have a look. So one of the challenges sometimes with Graph is that not all of the OData is available in all the places, and this doesn't solve that at all, but it does bring some advanced capabilities to some places. Oh, I'm sorry, that's very rude of me. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I was up at 4:45 this morning because I just couldn't sleep. I wake up 4:45, bing, and so kind of I got up and did some work. I'm doing some stuff, doing some kind of trying to figure out this project I've got going on that's written in React, and I'm doing it in React because I'm basing it off some other code which is in React, but React is not my native language of choice, so I'm trying to figure out React at the same time, and I'm trying to do it in snippets of time, and between 5 and 7 a.m. turns out is quite a good snippet of time when you won't get disturbed. So that's what I was doing this morning, and maybe while I was yawning. Anyway, we should be talking about this. So yeah, Graph Advanced Queries for Directory Objects generally available. So for these things, users, groups, applications, service principals, devices, or contacts and admin units, you'll be able to do things like counting objects, filtering, ordering, and searching in kind of a clever kind of way. There's this thing you have to pass of and a header for consistency level, which is all of which I think is new. It seems quite odd, but there we go. But it will give you some new information that you didn't have before. So nice ways of counting stuff if you need to get like total numbers. And then you can also do some filtering stuff like this here, where you can say, the office information is not null, but the filter here for the count is true, and the filter. So it's all the users, count how many users have a mail address that ends in hotmail.com. So that's pretty cool. That all happens kind of server side, and you get the results back. So you don't have to do any kind of post-processing with that, which is really nice. All of this is also available via PowerShell, which is pretty cool. Via the PowerShell SDK. There's lots of instructions on exactly how to get started with that. You can also do it through .NET and through the SDK there. There's a sample .NET Core app. So this is cool. It looks a bit like Graph Explorer, I guess, that you can use to try stuff out. It's a nice, I don't think you can see that. Okay, so the link, you can just click this to jump straight to the project for it in GitHub, which is cool. And it gives you this nice kind of sample application where you can try different things out with the select, the filter, the order by, and the search, and see the results as they come back. This is a really nice little utility tool, actually, just for using some of these samples. So that's very cool. And finally, if you've read all of that and think it makes perfect sense, and you don't need to research any of it because you knew it all already, then maybe you are an OData wizard. And if that's true, then there is a quiz for you to take at the end of this. It's aka.ms/msgraphaad quiz. I'll put a link in the notes as well for that. It's a challenging quiz to test your knowledge of Microsoft Graph and directory objects. I'm tempted to see now what's in it. So question 1. Oh, okay, so this is interesting. So you have to do the things. So search for users with a display name starting with AL ordered by display name. Gosh. Okay. So starts with AL and ordered by display name. I'm going to get these wrong. I think it's this one down here, but I might be completely wrong. And it looks really similar to this one. Oh no. I wonder what the difference is here. Okay, I need to go and play with this. That looks interesting. Okay, so yeah. Anyway, if you're an OData Wizard and you can do better than that, then you should definitely try that out and see how you get on. All right, I think that's everything from me. I should stop talking. I should go and enjoy Friday afternoon, and I encourage you to do the same. And I'm trying to think what's happening next week. This week was really busy. Teams Fest was this week. That was the other thing that happened. I knew there was something. So Teams Fest happened this week. So the content for that should be out just as soon as they finish processing it and getting it out to YouTube. It's all recorded, all going to be on YouTube. So that's fantastic. There's definitely some stuff happening next week as well, even though I can't remember any of it. I'm pretty certain at least 2 things are happening next week that I can't remember. Let's have a look. I'm speaking at a user group, and I'm speaking somewhere else as well. I'm not sure I can talk about that. Right, okay, fine. Let's stop. Anyway, have a great weekend, whatever it is you're doing, and have a good week next week. Stay safe, stay well, and talk to you next time. Thanks very much for watching.